It's like an Addams Family opening, Pete.
We got something every day, right? I mean, it's we got Jared's got some issues. I think we've got a little bit of internet issues, but overall, I think we're going to do just fine, John.
Bang. By the way, we're here at, in wine country.
Yeah.
This one's not opened yet. There's proof.
We just recorded it.
But we've got the full contingent of folks that have signed up for the Sonoma event here. Technically, it's not Sonoma, it's Santa Rosa.
Yeah,
but
my wife's home. That's where she was. She was born here, John. My wife.
That's right. It's a beautiful area, boy.
Yeah.
And we're right at the vineyard. And you've tuned into the Rebel's Edge. Pete Najarian, John Najarian, and of course, Jared is handling what would normally be special effects and sounds and things like that. But in lieu of the sounds today, he's just going to be running the boards for Macro Minute, Fantastic Futures, and all of the topics that we're going to cover for you. So with that said, Pete, let's dive in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Macro Minute. So the market really trying to decide what it wants to do. It started off pretty flat, but then made a surge to the upside. We've got NASDAQ futures right now, higher by 111, Pete, or about 0.8%, and the S&P 21 points higher. So pretty good start.
It's a nice start. And I'll tell you this from a macro perspective, John, I'll just talk about it for 2 seconds because that's all it needs to be talked about. Volatility. How about the fact that the volatility index has now dropped underneath 14? We're hitting the 13s, John. It's amazing. We got out of that category of being north of 20, and now it's a better opportunity for people. That's the way you need to look at it, is that volatility getting sucked out means premiums are a lot less. That's an opportunity to either protect a portfolio or to take some shots to the upside as well. So a lot of different ways to play it, but that VIX is now below 14.
That's right. Well, how about this one, Pete? Fantastic futures. I try to make it echo fantastic futures.
That's good. That's good.
That's as close as I can come because we're putting a new fantastic futures sound in tomorrow. But coffee futures up almost 4% today, Pete. And as you have said from time to time, when the coffee futures go up, they normally charge you more for your Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, or whatever. And when they go back down, they don't really drop the price. But it was up as much as 20% year to date just over a month ago, Pete. So it had a rather brutal slide. But now we're seeing a little bit of a rebound today and back up to 10% on the year.
Yeah, I'll just hit you with the Burl Ives trade for today, John. I've been on crude oil and nat gas all week, so I'm going to jump on this Thursday. I'm going Burl Ives. That means gold and silver. Gold, fast approaching 2,000 once again, and silver back over 24. Nice big move today, 3.5% move to the upside for silver. There's your trade. That's your futures. I got to tell you something, Terry. It's time to start paying those bills, big dog.
Yeah. Well, I'll be reaching out to Anita over there at the CME, Pete. But yeah, we've got fantastic futures, but no, just me as the soundboard today. Let's talk, Pete, about GameStop because this one was getting cracked. I know a lot of people love Ryan Cohen, and a lot of people think he's a brilliant investor, and he's made some pretty nice buys here and there, Pete. But today GameStop fired their CEO, and they named Ryan Cohen as the executive chairman. Now, this isn't exactly a ringing endorsement. They brought the guy over from Amazon, and now they're tossing him out, and they haven't even told us why yet. So I'd say there might be a little more volatility in GameStop, Pete.
Yeah, they got some problems, John. When you look, the stock in the last 52 weeks is somewhere between 15 and 50. And when you look at that and you see the stock down 18%, it's close to $21, somewhere in that category. You've got a short of about 20%. They've remained having a short for a very long period of time. It's a strange move, and they're not giving us all the answers, John, because they've actually started to make a little bit of a turn, it seemed. And then they just said, the heck with it. 2 years, we are now done. Volumes are huge today, by the way, 4 to 5 times normal average volume. And we're only halfway through the day, John. So a lot going on in GameStop. And again, one of the original meme stocks for sure. And it's living up to that right now.
Right. And, quite frankly, when you get this guy from Amazon, Furlong, and you put him in place, and then just before your earnings call, you say, "You're fired. Get out, out." That's not a ringing endorsement of him or the accounting methods, perhaps, that they're using over at GameStop. I'll just throw that out there. I think you could easily see it back down to that 15 range, Pete, before Mr. Cohen and some of his cohorts on Reddit start pushing this thing back up. All right, let's jump on IGT, Pete, International Game Tech. So they're doing a strategic review. I'm putting it in air quotes, but strategic review of their alternatives, which firms normally do when they're saying, we can't figure out what else we should do. Maybe we could sell ourselves.
It's a really interesting storyline, John. It really is, because that is the key word, strategic, right? Whenever you hear that, that means a lot to us as traders, because that's telling us, hey, look, they're trying to figure out how they can get something out of what they've got already. When you look at the company, it trades at a 15 PE, great free cash flow, but they do have a significant amount of debt. Now, that's partly because of what the business is that they're doing. But it hit 52-week highs today, John, hit 31 plus to the upside, a nice 11% jump. I don't know if it's done. And I think you're going to tell us about some unusual option activity maybe as well.
That's right. July 33 calls. July 33 calls just hit today. So like Pete said, with the stock at 30 before it shot up to 31 and change, they were buying upside calls third Friday in July at the 33 strike. So basically where the stock was, about a 10% rally by July. And depending what happens with strategic alternatives, Pete, they might have more room to the upside from there. That's what somebody says. They bought 10,000 calls. So that's a pretty big bet that, yeah, we might have some surprises up our sleeve. We'll see. Yeah. How about Adobe, ADBE? Higher today. The CEO said the regulatory environment that prevents tech acquisitions will lead to less investments in startups. And basically, Pete, he was talking about AI, because doesn't everybody? And I think, but this is not a joke, AI for Adobe. I've heard a lot of my friends, like, the guy that's running this show for us, Jared, that would say Adobe has a lot of cool AI applications right now. So maybe they get a little bit more of a boost because of the fact that people can use that AI to do the things that otherwise they had to do in PageMaker or some of Adobe's other products.
Yeah, they are a bigger player in AI than I think everybody was really prepared for, John. And we've watched this stock over a last period of time, fairly short period of time, make a pretty significant move to the upside. It's not at 52-week highs, but it ain't all that far away from some of those 52-week highs for all of the right reasons. Now, this is a company that has really been working hard and making a lot of progress in that space for sure. There's no doubt about it. How about a company, though, John, that also has a free cash flow of, $6.5 billion. When you look at everything that Adobe is bringing to you, it's relatively cheap. They're showing you growth. Their future growth definitely looks strong. So when you look at the PE and you say, well, it's a little bit rich, maybe it's not, because maybe the fact is that into the future, there's a lot of revenue that's going to be driven by AI for Adobe. I like this name a lot, John. I think there's still plenty of room to the upside.
I think this one is one, I think they're calling it like Sensei Genie AI or something like that. But right. Yeah, I agree. I would say that artificial intelligence from companies like this, that application will make a lot of their products even more demand in the future. Yep. All right, Pete, Carvana, CVNA. We've had multiple hits. We had it to the downside. That was, 6 months in the rearview mirror as it was falling apart, because, the 52-week on this one, Pete described the what was happening over with GameStop and its big range. How about this for a range, Pete? $3.55 was the low that it hit. $58 is the high. So it's making a 44% move today. It's moving through 22. It got all the way up to 23.50. And we had multiple buys over the last month. They were buying when the stock was $9. They were buying when the stock was, I think, 10 and a half. They were buying when the stock was 13. So that unusual activity now is in the rearview mirror. That's already played out. But boy, you had three big unusual activities that have led to a 43% jump today, even though those calls are now expired.
Yep. John, can you say the word squeeze? Because I know you and I both know what that means in this market. When you see a company that's moving the way this is today, 36%, that's a pretty decent number to the upside. But you also look at the shorts. What would you guess the shorts would be? You'd probably say, well, you know what? Maybe it's 15 or 20%. How about 45% short interest in this name? The online car dealer is a very interesting company, John. They've got massive debt. They've got a cash burn of $330 million. So a lot of negatives. But I will tell you this, when you've got that big of a short and you get any sort of positive news or anything that's moving a stock to the upside, that stock starts to accelerate to the upside as the shorts get pretty worried, and they are getting squeezed out today. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, normal activity, folks, is 16 million shares. So far today, halfway through the trading session, just a little more than that, halfway through, 105 million shares. So a lot of that, like Pete said, is likely to be people being squeezed. And that's what happens when you pile into a sub $5 stock on the short side. You better have some good reason to be short it down there at that level. All right, let's hit a little sports, Pete. I know you want to talk Heat basketball as well as, of course, the Nuggets and Jokic.
Yeah, well, the Nuggets took advantage of those guys yesterday, John, and Jokic, who we've been talking about for a long time. First of all, how on God's green earth was this guy not the MVP? We've already had that discussion before, but it's worth bringing up again because this guy is a combination of Larry Bird and then take your pick of some of the great centers of all time. The guy's 6'11". I know you were talking about his wingspan, but 6'11". A big, huge human being, 285 pounds, and all he can do is shoot threes if he wants to. He's the best passer I have seen since Larry Bird in terms of just how he moves the ball around. How about this? He had a great night last night, but it was even better than people would expect because how about the historic night that he had when you have a triple-double? He had 32 points, he had 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. That is an amazing game. And this is when the chips were down. They lost the previous game back in Denver. They come to Miami. Miami's all fired up. Jimmy Buckets is all fired up. Everybody's excited about it. They come out and they just never showed up, John. And what Denver did was brilliant because clearly the coach made the decision, Malone made the decision to say, hey, look, let's not rely on the three-pointers. We are going to play inside ball. We're going to get inside the arc, and we're going to take advantage of them as best we can inside because Jokic is a very difficult guy to defend. Well, they did an absolutely outstanding job with that, John. And what I mean by that is they only took 18 three-point shots. They didn't have all that much success. Neither did Miami, quite honestly, and that's why they ended up taking this game in a big way. They stole this one. Now the momentum goes back to Denver as far as a team. They got another game in Miami, but I got to tell you, John, Miami's going to have to make some huge adjustments, and Jokic is the best player in basketball right now.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could deny it, Pete. And that wingspan, by the way, for a 6'11" guy, according to Da Vinci, with a man like that, the Vitruvian man, that your wingspan is supposed to equal your height. Well, he's about 4 or 5 inches longer in wingspan than he is height-wise. He's about 7'3", I think, on the wingspan, Pete. So those long arms certainly help when he's making that magic happen. And I'd also point out, Pete, that in the 2 wins that they have in the series so far, he isn't in the 40s. They haven't had to rely totally on him for the points. He's been 27, I think, in the first game and 32 last night, like you said, with the triple-double. but it's that passing, him giving the ball off to guys that is huge, because they'd like to just try to shut him down. Nobody has very effectively, but if he's able to draw them to him and then pass it off, that's just as effective. That's like that wide receiver in football that draws the double so that your tight end or the slot guy is open on the other side. I mean, that's what he's been doing very effectively. And, that's a tough thing for anybody to beat if you're the Miami Heat.
Yeah, for sure. John, jump into the next one, MLB. We're going to go right to the Rays and the Rangers. Now, here's the thing. The Rays are still on fire. Absolutely amazing what these guys have accomplished this year, John. They're now 70% win percentage. They're absolutely on fire, doing everything right. They crushed my Twins the other night. They shut them out. They're just doing everything right. But don't get sleepy on the Rangers. The Rangers are absolutely on fire as well, and they're doing it on both sides, just like Tampa is. Their pitching's been outstanding. Their ERA, 3.58, is number 4 in Major League Baseball, John. And then when you look at how many of these pitchers right now that they've got at least 3 with an ERA underneath 3. So their pitching is unbelievable. DeGrom got hurt. He's not even a part of it, or they'd be even better, I think. But they've also got the bats. They're nearly 280, John, hitting the ball right now. So these guys have great vision from the plate. They're doing a great job on the defensive side with the pitching. It's unbelievable. Their top 3 guys, they've got Gray, they've got Dunning, they've got Burke, they've got all these guys. They really do have the whole package right now. I'll tell you what, baseball's getting kind of fun to watch because some of these teams are absolutely explosive and taking advantage of everybody else. The Rangers are just behind Tampa right now. I'm loving my Tampa team. I love what the Rays are doing, but the Rangers are doing it in almost a bigger way, John. Their point differential or run differential has expanded past Tampa, and they're doing everything right. So baseball's got a lot of things to watch right now, and the games are shorter. That was a key move. They did a great job with that.
Yeah. Speeding the games up, the Nomar Garcia Parra, with the, after every pitch, he had to redo his gloves and, tip the hat 3 times, all this crap. That's boring. But this is pretty cool that they, Texas is 40-21. So this is, they're leading in the West. They have a great lineup, a bunch of hitters, and they're a fun team to watch. So the fact that the games go by quicker, I made a joke the other day that some of you responded to about, hey, it's just a place where you go to get some sun, sit out there in the stands and catch some rays. It's also where you can catch great teams like the Tampa Bay Rays and Texas Rangers. And right now, that might not be the biggest draw on television, Pete, among the baseball teams. It's probably still Yankees, Mets with Alonso, hitting now 22 homers on the year. But it's those guys, the 2 New York teams, as well as the Angels. And but I tell you what, the best games might be if, you were able to get either Tampa Bay or Texas playing in there. I think those are the best teams to watch. But the games with the biggest draws, of course, you got New York City and you got Los Angeles.
Yeah, kudos to Major League Baseball for the moves that they made. Everybody was fighting against it, John, for a long time. Hey, you're going to ruin the game with the pitch clock. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. They cut off 30 minutes, basically, and the games are got a lot more exciting. And to your point, people don't have to sit there and watch somebody adjust every single part of their body and everything that they've got in their gloves and everything. That's just boring, and that's something that they've now, that's kind of in the past, and people are loving baseball. I think that in every way, you're starting to attract younger kids, younger people to the game, and I think they've done everything right so far.
Yeah, well, this has been fun, Pete. We got to go back down and talk to all the great folks that came out here to Sonoma for 2 days of live trading. Remember, though, if you want a BOGO, that's buy one, get one free. Go over to marketrebellion.com/bang. There it is. marketrebellion.com/bang. And you buy 1 month, get 1 month free. It's the best show on the networks, folks, and the best trading setups that we have ever seen. So make sure you check it out, marketrebellion.com/bang, and we'll see you tomorrow.